Okay, so today's video we're going to install our clutch fork assembly, so that'll go up here. We're also going to install our drive clutch, so clutch cone, clutch halves, and we'll install the PTO shaft so our clutch can slip onto that. So there's a bit of preparation that needs to happen before any of that sort of gets started. Now I did yesterday glue my clutch corks on, so there's one inside the drive clutch, so that's all glued in there, that's all ready to go. I did do a small bit of filming about that. I might edit it into this video, we'll see, or I might do a whole separate video on that, I'm not sure. But purpose of today is to get our clutch fork assembly done, our PTO shaft and our engine drive clutch. So first thing I'm going to do is probably install our self-aligning bearing. So I'll put that into our PTO shaft bearing housing. So basically just press that in there. Don't forget to put the rubber washer on the back of it, so that's your bearing seal. It's pretty important. And once we've done that, we'll put together our clutch fork, whack it up there, and I'll show you how to do that. It's late in the evening, but I thought I'd quickly run out here and just film gluing the corks onto our clutch and our clutches. There's two clutches. So basically I'm going to glue these on with contact adhesive. It's going to take probably 24 hours to dry and cure properly. So today's Friday, it's Friday night. I'm going to quickly do that now and then come back tomorrow morning, continue filming this, and then hopefully say Sunday you might see a video from this. So first things first, we've got our round clutch. So this is our drive clutch, so this will effectively drive the rear roller. So that needs to get glued onto here, like so. And then we've got our engine drive clutch. So this cork here gets glued into our clutch cone, or clutch assembly rather. The clutch cone goes inside there, like so. So that'll get glued in. Clutch cone goes like this, just like that. So this is the glue that I use, Sally's Quickie Grip, water-based contact adhesive. So I've got no affiliation with these guys, this is just what I use. I have now used this on probably 7 or 8 different clutches, and to my knowledge not one of those corks has fallen off. So I think it's a pretty good glue. It's not very expensive and I just purchased it from Bonnar. So here we go. Alright, so there is a bit of a process when using contact adhesive. So basically I want to put glue onto the cork and onto the metal surface. So glue on both surfaces. Then we want to wait for that glue to sort of dry to a point that it's gone all tacky. So you'll see when I apply this, it comes out in like a creamy colour. It actually dries clear. So I like to let it dry until it starts to get that clear sort of look at it. Once it starts getting that clear look, then I'll get the two surfaces together, stick them together. Now when you do that, you've got to be quite careful, because pretty much as soon as you do that, you won't be able to move that anymore. So you've got to get it fairly accurate the first go. If you don't, I think you'll end up with troubles. And then basically once I've got both surfaces together, I'll just apply some weight evenly across that. So how I do that is I actually get the other half of the drive assembly, put that on there, and I get some bricks sitting on top of that as well. So that just weighs that down. And then I'll leave that overnight. So basically the same goes for the drive clutch. I'll glue that in there, glue on both surfaces, and then I'll get the clutch cone and I'll stick that in there. I find that distributes weight evenly around the whole clutch, and then I'll put a brick or two on top of that as well. So that basically just adds weight, and then I sit that up overnight. Once that's dry, she should be good to go. So here we go, guys. Alright, so it's been probably 15 or 20 minutes now. As you can see, the glue has dried substantially, so that was all white or creamy colour before, and then now it's starting to go clear. So that's what I was talking about with when it goes clear, it goes tacky. It's really tacky to touch. At this point, this is when I like to bind them both together. So here we go. So same goes for our drive clutch. So inside here you see all the metal's gone back to metal, I suppose. It's gone clear, so the glue's gone clear. So it's quite tacky. This always happens every time I do it. The metal part dries considerably quicker than the cork. So you can see there's still a fair amount of cream colour on the cork. Not to worry, as long as one of the surfaces has gone that tacky, it sort of sticks together quite well. So once I put the cork in there, I like to sort of squish it down. So when I squish it down, I just sort of make sure that the bottom of the cork's right up against the lip at the bottom, all the way around. So you've got a nice even sort of circle. And once we've done that, we'll put some weights on top of that. Righto, so as simple as that. So I'll leave that now overnight. Should get back in the shed, say maybe midday tomorrow, something like that. We'll continue with the rest of that. So one thing to be very careful with is to make sure that you don't have any glue where you don't want it. So me sticking that like that with the weights on there, I've made sure that there's no glue on the outside part of the cork. If there is, you'll find that you've just glued those two parts together. Now you don't want to do that, and if you do happen to get some glue there without noticing or whatnot, you're likely to find when you go to separate them is you'll pull off a chunk of that cork. If you do that, basically you're going to have to start again. So you have to pull that cork off, remove the glue, buy a new cork, and then re-glue it on there. So just be very careful. This is how I do it. I've done it several times like this and I haven't had a drama, so do it at your own risk, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, so I pressed my self-aligning bearing into the bearing housing. I didn't film that. I'm sure you've seen me do it 1,000 times now. I just tapped it in with a hammer. So next I'm going to assemble my clutch fork assembly. So I'm going to do as much of that off the mower as I can. I find it a bit easier to work when it's not on the mower. So here we go, we'll watch that. So I've got all this in place, as you can see. We need to put our spring washer clamp doobie wackies, I'm not sure what they're called, but they press on each end of the shaft. And they're very difficult to get off, so basically you wreck them when you get off. So how I do that, now it's a bit tricky when it's on the mower, but I go about this off the mower. So I like to get a clamp, just like so, and some timber blocks. Now the timber blocks have got a hole drilled in them, so this hole will go either side of my shaft, like so, and then clamp that together. Now when we clamp that together, that will actually press these little rings on there. So I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so the clamp wasn't needed, however you'll see that I've got the shaft through there, I've got my spring on the shaft, we've got the clutch fork there, and we've got our adjustment bolt in. So basically you can now press that up with a bit of resistance, however you can still press that up, you can still get to the screws and nuts and bolts that bolt it down to the mower. So next step, we'll put our steel plate on the bottom, and then we'll mount that onto the mower. So that's just 3 nuts and bolts, quite simple. Okay, so you can see I've now installed that up on the mower. I'll put our clutch engagement lever on there. So on the back side of that, we just got to get a washer and then a split ring. We can screw our black knob onto the lever. Righto, so next step we're going to do the PTO shaft. So I'm going to push that into my bearing first. So on the PTO shaft you'll see that there's a rubber grommet. I like to put that now on. So that just sits basically hard up against the bearing housing, like this. So I'll press that on. I like to get I'm an electrician, so I have quite a substantial amount of conduit. So a 20mm conduit actually slips over this shaft perfectly, and it'll knock down that bearing quite well. Or you could use a tube socket, something similar like that. It's going to have the same effect. Okay, so I've got the shaft pressed into the bearing. I'll install the bearing housing up on the mower. So that's just 2 bolts either side. Lock nuts on the other side. Now when doing that, just make sure you don't forget to put your bearing seal on the back. So that's just the rubber washer. Slip that on. So push on, you can get brass ones from various people sell them. However, this is my clutch pad, so basically just the black nylon one. They work just as good as the brass ones. Obviously the brass one's probably going to last a little bit longer. I think on this build I probably will end up buying a brass one. I just don't have one lying around, and the one that came with this mower is in incredibly good condition. It looks like it's never been used. So for the time being, I'm just going to use the black plastic nylon one. Okay, so next step is going to be the drive clutch assembly. So Right, so first step, we're going to install our thrust bearing. So we just push that into our clutch half that mounts, so the clutch half that goes on the engine side gets that. You'll see on the bearing that one side is curved and the other side's flat. So basically we want the curved side in, so the flat side at the top. So we'll put that there, press that in with the hammer. Okay, now we've got the bearing in there. We'll put our spring. So this is the original spring for the mower. It is a bit dirty, however it still operates as a spring, and I'm going to use it, so why buy something you don't need? So spring goes in, clutch cone goes in next, the other side of our clutch half, and then 3 nuts and bolts. So there we have it. You can see that the clutch cone can be pressed in. That's how the clutch cork is disengaged and engaged. So now we've got that. Just need to install a woodruff key up onto the PTO shaft, and we can slip that on. Now I'm just going to leave that off for now until I've got a motor. I find if you put it up on the mower now, what happens is it presses down. It presses weight down on the PTO shaft, and then it scratches the paint off the PTO shaft here. So I'm just going to wait till I've got a motor, and then we'll install that up there. So next step, we're going to install all our sprockets. So engine sprockets, drive sprockets, reel sprockets. Basically that'll be all on the end of the mower, and then we're pretty damn close. We'll put some chains on there, and at that point it will be a working mower. So everything else after that is just sort of cosmetic. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.